Welcome to our daily pause. I hope you're enjoying these moments where we can reflect and think about Scripture together. One of my favorite passages from the Hebrew Scriptures is Isaiah 40, 28 through 31. It goes like this. Have you not known? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He does not faint or grow weary. His understanding is unsearchable. He gives power to the faint and strengthens the powerless. Even youths will faint and be weary, and the young will fall exhausted. But those who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. This good news was penned by an unnamed poet who was one of the contributors to the book of Isaiah. These words were written to Jewish refugees who had been driven from their land by military force into exile to a place called the Kingdom of Babylon. The temple they had built in Jerusalem was now in ruins, and any faith they had built was probably in shambles as well. But then this word of hope comes. Now, I have always been intrigued by this word of hope in this Isaiah passage because it moves in a descending manner. It moves from the position of soaring, running, and then walking. It seems like it would be better to describe it the opposite way, to build to a climax. First you walk, and then you run, and then eventually you find yourself soaring. That seems to be what we're trained to expect, isn't it? And maybe my 21st century mind has just watched too many Hollywood movies. However, I think the biblical prophet was probably describing more accurately what would happen to the Jews eventually when they came out of exile. Indeed, when the Persians broke through the city gates of Babylonia and declared the refugees were free to go, that would be a time of great soaring, a time when the Hebrew people would find energy from dawn to dusk to pack their bags and get ready to go home. It would be like mounting up with wings like eagles, you see. They would also not find initially any weariness in the running around and packing and getting ready as they anticipated going home. But eventually, the reality of making their way across a hot desert at the pace of the slowest, most burdensome animal with all of their belongings would eventually give way to an even more wonderful time experienced in life, finding God when all we can do is walk. One of the greatest gifts that I have discovered through the church over the years is to know people. People who didn't have right then a moment of soaring or even a time of running and not being weary. All they could hope for was to walk and to keep on walking, knowing that God would not let them faint. Those people whom I have known were given the best two graces in life, courage and love. The courage to keep on going, even if it meant only walking, and then that deeper love of God to care about others. I give thanks to God for Jesus, who modeled this ancient Jewish promise of faith in God. For even as Jesus moved across his lonely desert road toward a place called Golgotha, his pace slowed too, weighed down by the burden of a cross. Yet in God, Jesus continued to find a strengthening, even when all he could do eventually was to get one foot in front of the other and not faint. You see, my friends, there is always a strengthening, and God is ready to give it to us. I hope you've enjoyed this daily pause, and I hope God has put a message in your heart.